Just a fair warning, this video was entirely unscripted and I was incredibly tired while making it, so expect lots of stutters, lots of ums, lots of repetition, etc., etc. This is a follow-up to one of my older videos on the same machine, so feel free to check that out for a more concise look at things.
Hi there, my name is Andrew, and if you clicked on this video, chances are you are interested in the HP EliteBook 8460p. Now, if you've been following my channel or have researched this laptop in the past, you'll probably have noticed that I had made a video on it already. That video is like 2 years old now, so most of it's still relevant, especially on the hardware side, but things have also changed quite a bit. The machine in that video I had actually gotten rid of. I'd sold it to a friend who sold it to another friend, etc., etc. But I just missed this machine so much that I bought another one, and I've been using it both for just personal use on the web, video, etc., as well as my school machine for my networking classes and all that guff. So, like I said, things have kind of changed within the past few years. Software-wise, things are a little bit different, so I'm going to go ahead and show you around the machine again and kind of go into the details of how it's running Windows 10, the current build, I mean. Alright, so I went ahead and jump cutted, but to start out, here's the lid of the machine. There's nothing of note on here. Just like my old one, I did put a skin on top of it because used EliteBooks are prone to scratching on the lids, especially if they're in a business environment. Moving straight onto the front, we have indicator lights. Let me see if I can get that to focus. Naturally, there's one for wireless, power, charge, as well as disk usage. In the middle, we have a little latch. It is one of those machines that latches, so if that's something you're interested in, there you go. Moving to the right side, we have a headphone jack as well as a mic jack. Both of them are of the 3.5 variety. Then we have, come on, focus, you piece of crap. We have an eSATA port. This also doubles as a USB port. There is also another USB port right there. This one is also enabled to charge your device, say a phone or something, if the machine is turned off and plugged in. And then we have a full-size display port as well as the Kensington lock and a lovely vent. Going to the rear of the machine, we have a modem, telephone line and jack, VGA, as well as a regular old Ethernet connector. Excuse me. And the left side, we have the power jack, a FireWire, aka a 1394A port. Don't know anyone who uses these anymore, but it's there if you need it for legacy support. And we have two USB ports again. These are of the SuperSpeed 2.0 variety. We also have the disk drive just integrated in the bottom right there, as well as an expansion card. But we also do have an SD card slot down there, and now that I think about it, there is one more card that I forgot about. You'll have to excuse me because I never use it, but right here is a smart card reader. From what I can tell, the drivers on Windows 10 don't really let this work super well, but they're there, they're functional. Now going on to the interior of the machine, it's just the same as the old video. We have our dedicated switches up here for wireless, your browser, and a mute switch. Your power button. There is also an LED indicator light built into it. Touchpad, full-size keyboard without the numpad. We have a touch stick in the middle, and the two little holes for the latches. As for the display, depending on which model you get, there's a webcam, ambient light sensor, and HP's version of a think light. If you're observant, you'll probably have noticed that the fingerprint scanner is missing. In my old video, there was a model with a fingerprint scanner. Like I said, I did upgrade, or I guess downgrade in my case, but it's a different machine. Not all of them came with fingerprint scanners equipped. This one actually didn't even come with the webcam equipped, so I went ahead and pulled it out of an old salvage machine, and now I got a webcam. With that being said, the hardware, in my opinion, does very much stack up to current machines. Naturally, it sucks that there's no Thunderbolt 3 or HDMI, but Thunderbolt 3 is kind of forgivable. HDMI, on the fence about it. But as for the rest of the ports, having 4 full-size USB ports is something very nice that you don't even get with lots of machines nowadays. I have a Dell Inspiron 7567, which only has 3 USB ports, and a disk drive, full-size disk drive. Disk drives aren't really my thing, but I know some people still find them valuable. Having a full-size SD slot is also nice. I know some ultrabooks or ultra-thin laptops don't come with them anymore. So port-wise, I really like this machine still. It's incredibly usable, and that's about it, really. We'll go ahead and move to the bottom now. So as for the bottom of the machine, we do have the battery right there, and these 2 little tabs right above it. These 2 tabs allow for easy access to both the battery, and this is really hard to do with one hand, and this cover plate, if I can get it opened. That's the battery tab, but anyway, that's the battery tab. Just pull out the battery like so. And this cover plate. I really should have set this thing on my tripod. I am sorry. In any case, this plate covers basically the essentials of the machine. Anything you might want to upgrade if you were to grab one for yourself. So we have the drive slot under here. Currently there's a 250 gig SSD in this guy. 2 sticks of RAM right there. They are 4 gig each and total 8 gigs naturally. Heatsink right there with the Core i5 2520 under it, I believe. Honestly, I haven't been keeping up with specs on anything too much lately. Fan, wireless card, modem, and your disk drive is housed right here, and it can be removed with this single screw. Alright, so moving on to the software side of things, this machine holds up remarkably well, in my opinion. And this might just be because I'm not used to the old crap tops that I buy off eBay working very well at all, but in this case, it's been a dream to use when it comes to the kind of stuff I'm putting it through. So as I said earlier, this is a 2520M i5 inside the machine, 4 total logical processors and 2 real processors, and quad-threaded or dual-threaded in our case. So there's also 8 gigs of RAM. They typically come with 4 gigs depending on which seller you get it from. I generally find these machines around 100 to 150 bucks in decent shape on eBay. So depending on if the deal's out there, you can score one of these for a decent price and have a really nice machine. Naturally though, you will want to make sure you up the gigs from 4. I mean, they generally do come with 4, and alongside that you're going to want to slap an SSD in there. I have a 250 gig SSD in here and it's been completely fine. Operating system wise, I was running Windows 10 in that old video. I don't remember what version or build number of it, but as of right now it is on 1803. This is right before the fall update, the 2018 fall update, which erased some data from people's computers. Not a fun time, I imagine, but oh well. So with that being said, this machine running version 1803 of Windows 10 has been completely fine for me. Like I said, I'm using it for school and all that, so I have the Office suite on here, I have Chrome, I have Packet Tracer, I've got Wireshark, Spotify, kind of the general kind of stuff I would need for a class like that. So on a typical school day, I'll have around 5 to 7 tabs open, some school stuff, some stuff for me to, be lazy with and read up on articles that are not related to networking in the slightest. And with that, I'll usually have Spotify open in the background, as well as Packet Tracer or Wireshark. Now, Wireshark and Packet Tracer aren't particularly intensive or anything like that, but I feel like it's a good thing to note. This machine has been completely fine with multitasking for me. I've had no qualms or hiccups with it. That's not to say that general usability has been completely perfect, though. My main gripe with it is probably going to have to be the battery. Now, the i5 2520M, it just doesn't have good battery management at this point. This was kind of that weird sort of, I guess, teenage phase would be a good way to put it for mobile processors, where they just weren't efficient when it came to battery usage. Generally, I can get maybe 2 hours of screen on time on this guy if I put it on the best battery life, mid brightness or so, and kind of limit how many programs I have open at once. But it's kind of a given with these older machines. Like I said, the 2520M is very mediocre when it comes to battery and all that stuff. Speaking of the processor, it is a little bit, it runs a little hot from time to time. Never to a point where it's obnoxious or distracting, but if you use your mouse on the right side like I do, you may notice some heat coming from this vent over here. It's not that big of a deal, but I figured it's something that I should have mentioned or something like that. Aside from all of this, I've only used Windows on this machine, but from what I've heard and from the small bits of Linux I have played with on it, Linux is absolutely a viable option on this machine. Everything seems to run perfectly. There's tons of drivers and good support for all that stuff, except the fingerprint scanner, but like I said, this particular machine does not have one, so I don't really care. Other than that, I really can't think of much else to say. Things haven't changed too much from, a couple years ago. This machine is still completely fine if you know what you're looking for and put an SSD in it. And with that being said, I do have a couple tips on buying these machines from eBay. So, like I said, I got this one from eBay it was in June of 2018. I just missed this machine so much, I needed another one. So I would look out for fleet machines, the sort of machines that would have been given out to a business and the seller has a ton of them and just wants to get rid of them. You can generally find them for around $100 to $150 in that case, and what most of them say is B grade condition. B grade generally from these fleet sellers means good shape overall, lots of scratches on the lid, which I find annoying, but I covered it up with a skin, so I don't care anymore. Nothing wrong with the hardware, it completely runs fine, but you will want to look into putting an SSD in there or upgrading the RAM. I'd say 6 gigs at the very minimum, just because 4 gigs is a little bit unbearable nowadays, at least for me, especially with Windows 10 and how much it likes to eat up RAM. Naturally, if you're going to be using a Linux distribution, 4 gigs would probably be fine if you choose a very light Linux distro, but otherwise I upgrade the RAM. Naturally, keep an eye out for what kind of machine is being sold to you, what condition it's in, if it's a salvage, if it's been stripped for parts, if it's completely bare bones. A lot of them are being sold bare bones at comparable prices to the fully working machines, say like a machine that's had its hard drive, its RAM, its battery all torn out with no charger, etc., etc. Another thing to keep an eye out for on these machines is to make sure that the BIOS isn't locked with an admin password. I know a lot of them are because they were fleet machines and they were probably used in a quote-unquote secure environment, be it for a business with sensitive documents, a task force such as a police department or a fire department or something of the like. Having the locked BIOS on this will pretty much, I guess, disallow you from making a lot of minor tweaks and changes to this machine. For instance, keeping that always on charge port turned off or on, disabling the ambient light sensor, disabling Bluetooth, wireless, smart card, a bunch of actual hardware related things. Plus there are a decent number of good features in the BIOS, such as wiping the drive completely without the use of, like, what do I even use? I use Gparted to completely nuke drives, but this has it built straight into the BIOS. There's also a bunch of options for UEFI and legacy support depending on which year of machine you got. A lot of them came with Windows 7, which naturally would just be on legacy support, but some of them did come with Windows 8 pre-built, so they do have the newer UEFI sort of stuff built in the BIOS. I really don't know what else to say about this machine. To sum things up, it's a ridiculous bargain for the price and could easily beat out a bunch of mid-range to low-end offerings you could grab from HP, Dell, etc. nowadays. Generally, the price of computers has gone down for the really low-level entry kind of stuff, but if you put a little work into a used machine, a used business class machine like this, you'll have a completely competent machine that will honestly outperform them for general tasks. I would not recommend this machine for gaming. If you want to really use a machine like this for light gaming or something, get the 8460W, and this was the workstation variant of it, and it did come with an AMD Fire Pro graphics card. This one just runs on Intel HD graphics, which are mediocre to say the least. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could do some light gaming like League of Legends or something on here, but that's about it. But general usability, very good. I've had no issues with any drivers for this machine despite its age, and overall it's just been a pleasant experience to work with. If you have any questions or anything, because I know this was a very haphazard and sort of crappy video, I definitely didn't plan it or script it or anything like that. It was just kind of point and shoot deal. Feel free to leave them in the comments, feel free to start a discussion, etc. I'll try to answer these questions if you leave them, unlike I did on the previous video, but well, yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching.